Dinei derech eretz. It's basic ben adam lechavero. And especially when it has to do with the king, and especially when it has to do with the Melech Malchei HaMelochim.
Wherever you get your podcasts from, or our own website, prismoftorah.com. This is the Prism of Torah with Rabbi Asaf Aaron Prisman.
Shalom to everyone. This week's parsha, Parshas Tetzaveh, we can see an unbelievable idea that everything is hidden in the Torah. Hafoch ba v'hafoch ba v'kula ba. The Torah in so many different ways has nafkamina to us, lessons that we can learn from so many different perspectives, from the way we live our lives to the way the world is created, in Torah Sanigla and Torah Sanistal. And I want to give you a glimpse of this idea in Parshas Tetzaveh, this week's parsha. This week's parsha, you would think, okay, what is it talking about? The clothing of the Kohanim. What does that have to do with me? So just to get a glimpse of this idea, how everything in the Torah will affect us, and it is important that we know, and that's why there's so much room to learn, infinite amount to learn. I want to share with you the following. In our parsha, in Perik Kavches, starting from Pasuk Lamed Gimel over there, it talks about one item of clothing that Kohen Gadol has to have, the me'il, the coat. And you can see what it's made of. One specific idea it has to have is at the bottom of the coat, it has to have some bells. That obviously, bells make noise as you walk. And then the Pasuk says the following, that the Kohen Gadol, who's represented by Aaron, that's why the Pasuk says then, in Pasuk Lamed Hey over there, Vayal Aaron, it shall be on Aaron in order to be Oived Hashem, Lesharet et Hashem. He will be heard, V'nishma kolo, he will be heard, and it means the bells will be heard. Bevo'el HaKodesh, as he enters the Kodesh in front of Hashem, and if he does so, when he enters and when he leaves, Uvetzeito, from there, from doing the Avodah, Velo Yamus. The obvious idea we learn from here, and Rashi says it on the spot, if he wears it based on how Hashem says to create this coat, this me'il, this beged of the Kohen Gadol, then he won't die, velo yamus. There's this concept that we know, it's a pashat diuk, michlal lav ata shomea hen. That's if he wears the coat, but what if he wears the coat not exactly the way Hashem said to wear the coat? Then he will die. And that's what Rashi says on the spot. And he says from here we learn that if he goes into the base of Mikdash, to do his avodah, and is missing one of these items of the clothing, then he will indeed die. However, the Ramban argues on Rashi. The Ramban says the pasuk is talking about when the Kohen comes to do the avodah and also on his way out. It says the word uvetzeiso, on his way out, when he leaves. It can't be that he deserves to die because of the reason that he did the avodah without all the bgadim. He was Oived Hashem without the bgadim that he needed to wear. Because when he's leaving, that's not part of the avodah. He finished the avodah. He finished what he needed to do for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, his job in the Beis HaMikdash, and now he's on his way out. On his way out, you can't say he's dying because he'll die if he doesn't wear the clothing based on how Hashem said to create them. Ella, there must be something else here, says the Ramban. The Ramban says it's specifically talking about the bells that he needs to have on the bottom of his coat. And that's why the Torah in this pasuk also emphasizes the idea that it's important that it will be heard as Aaron's coming towards his avodah. When he's coming to be Oived Hashem in the Beis HaMikdash, to be Mesharet, it's important that he'll be heard. Says the Ramban over here, an amazing idea. It is very important, and Reb Chaim Shmulevitz in Parshas Noach, my dear friend Rabbi Svei pointed it out to me, it's hidden in Parshas Noach, this pasuk in our parsha. Why? We learn from here the Torah, as we said, everything's hidden in the Torah. The Torah is teaching us etiquettes. It's not matim to suddenly come in without knocking, without making a type of noise before you come in. The right way to do it is to knock a bit on the door before you come in. You don't want to hurdle anyone. It's dinei derech eretz. It's basic ben adam lechavero. You don't just interrupt someone's conversation. Perhaps you say, oh, do you mind if I also participate in the conversation? And especially when it has to do with the king, and especially when it has to do with the Melech Malchei Hamlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the Kohen Gadol, before he comes to be with Hashem and do the Avodah, of course he has to have bells that make a bit of a noise before he comes in, or else it's not fitting. He does deserve the death penalty. The Reb Chaim Shmulevitz even connects this to the Heilige Purim we have coming up. And that is, Esther was so worried to go to Achashverosh. How can she go to Achashverosh, who was the most powerful king at the time, without even asking permission beforehand? Mordechai says, you have to. Who knows if this is not the reason you now came to be in the Melucha, in royalty. This is the reason. We need you. We need you to go in and try to fight for the Jewish people. But she was still very worried because she knew it wasn't matim. A king like that can kill a person if he doesn't come in with proper permission. At the end, there was Siyata Dishmaya, of course, and Hashem ensured that Achashverosh lets her in. Reb Chaim Shmulevitz goes on to say the same idea we see by Noach. Noach was in the Teva for so long, and Chazal teach us, Midrash Tanchuma, that he didn't taste what it is to sleep during those days. And yet, even though he knew it was dry outside, he still wasn't willing to leave. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him to go in, and he said, it's only derech eretz. The true etiquette over here is for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, only when he tells me to leave, then I will leave. Before that, it's not matim. This idea is actually brought down in Pesachim Daf Kuf Yud Beis Amud Aleph. The Rabbi Yochanan also, from this pasuk in our parsha, he learned that he couldn't just barge into the house. He made sure they'll be aware and make some sort of a call, a voice, that they know he's about to come in. There's also one of the most famous stories where Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were thrown into the fire by the Rasha, Nebuchadnezzar. And there was a miracle that they weren't burnt by the fire. Nebuchadnezzar couldn't believe it. And yet, they saw they weren't getting burnt, yet every second they were still in the fire was a miracle. You can't trust a miracle. Lichoira, they should have stepped out of the fire. But no. They thought it's not matim. Crazy chiddush. The wicked Nebuchadnezzar threw them into the fire. They could have ran out of the fire. They said, no, it's not matim that we go out of the fire. And even though we know HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing a miracle every second we're in here, they felt it was Ratzon Hashem that they stay in there until Nebuchadnezzar tells them to leave. The wicked Rasha Nebuchadnezzar. Why? You see the huge importance and priority of derech eretz. The same we see when Bnei Yisrael were in Mitzrayim. They would not leave until Paro says you can go. Hare, the obvious question is, let's just leave. No. They got allowed from Mitzrayim, even though the Mitzrim were very bad to them towards the end, but there was still an idea of Akalas HaTov. There's still an idea. They went to Mitzrayim, they were waiting till Paro tells them to leave. He has to be Meshaleach them out. Kacha Midrash Omer. If you look carefully, and you'll be more aware, there's many instances of this idea brought down by Chazal and in the Torah itself directly. Another similar idea, we're going into already Midos, that we learn from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But look at, and from Moshe Rabbeinu teaches us a huge lesson. HaKadosh Baruch Hu felt it's time now to redeem the Jewish people and take them out of Mitzrayim. And he told Moshe Rabbeinu, I want you to be my shaliach. Yet Moshe Rabbeinu says, hold on a second over here. Me? My brother's going to get hurt. It's not matim. Aaron's going to get hurt. That means that despite the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, I want you to lead the Jewish people and take them out. This is the time. Moshe was really worried because Hashem taught him what derech eretz is. And he says, wait a second, I have to make sure that my brother won't be hurt. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, don't worry about it. Moshe Rabbeinu Aaron won't be hurt. But again, you see this idea of Ben Adam L'Chaveiro, of Midos, of Derech Eretz, that the Torah teaches us, even these subtleties of Derech Eretz, just knocking on the door before you come in. That's the appropriate way to act. We, the Jewish people, we learn from the Torah what the etiquettes are all about and what they are. This reminds me of what my Rebbe's Rebbe told. My Rebbe told me that his Rebbe told him, which was Reb Shmuel Rozovsky. And he says, there's a Yiratzon we say after Korbanos. Lo oilam yeh adam yirei shamayim. Always a person should have Yiras Shamayim. Baseser uvegoloi, also and hidden when he's on his own and also when he's in front of people. Umodeh ala emes. V'dover emes bilvavoy, and should only have, he should be moide in his heart about what is truth, what emes is, and speaks emes only in his heart, etc., etc. So he says, there's also a different way of reading over here. You can also read this tefillah in a different way. Lo'olam yeh odom. First, be a person, be a mensch. Then, you have to have, of course, yirat shamayim, also in your own, behind closed doors, and also begalui in public, etc., etc., and speak only truth, and not to lie, etc., etc. But the first step, the prerequisite for everything, is to be a mensch, to be a person that has these etiquettes that the Torah conveys to us. Yiratzon, that will take this idea from this week's parsha, from the Me'il of the Kohen Gadol, based on the Ramban, and ensure we live our lives based on the etiquettes that the Torah is teaching us. Have derech eretz, have midos tovos. Let's not forget, one of the drashas that differentiate us from the goyim, atem kruim odom, vehem lo kruim odom. We are called Adam. Why? Because Adam represents to be a mensch, to have etiquettes of what the Torah conveys to us, and a lot more than that. But that's the beginning. In order to be a kli kibul, to be a vessel that connects to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Torah, and to be like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we have to live up to the name Adam. So, seeing that we are right before Purim, I would like to say a very short idea that maybe we can connect to Mitzvah Hashem in this upcoming Purim. We all know that the Gemara tells us, and it's passed in la aloche, Chayav inish libu sumei bepuraya ad lo yada ben au Haman v'boch Mordechai. A person should drink wine. The main mitzvah is with wine, because all the miracles were with wine, until he gets to the point that he doesn't know the difference between the heilige Mordechai and the wicked Haman. So I think several years ago I asked the question, what do you mean? Hashem really wants us to drink to that extent? Some will have a mahalach, because we want to not think, just connect to Hashem, a pashut level of emunah, just tamim tiem Hashem, etc., etc. There's many other answers. I want to share with you what the Kedushas Levi says. I think a vote that many of us, or all of us, can connect to. And he says, the idea of drinking in Purim is not literally to get drunk, but it's to help you elevate yourself and connect to Hashem. We know yain is gimatria soid. Connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on a very spiritual level. And I will explain. Everyone in his life has matzavim, has situations that are the Al Haman, crazy situations that he's going through, difficult times, and he can't believe this is happening to him. And during the time, it's very difficult to digest. Of course, there's also other times he's very happy. There's simchas in the family. Everything's going geshmak. Everything's great. And we're all happy and we're moedet HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But we know that we all have times like this and times like that. Ol Haman represents those difficult times. We won't even say bad, because there's no bad from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's what Purim is all about, to realize that, to get to that acknowledgement. But we all have times of Ol Haman that are difficult, painful. They hurt even. There are other times where we're very happy and it's an amazing feeling, geshmak feeling, and that's Boch Mordechai. But on Purim, we reach such a high level, we have such a potential to reach such a high level through the drinking of wine. And for that, everyone on their level, you don't necessarily have to drink so much wine, but that we can connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu and realize, Kadosh Baruch Hu, we love you no matter what. We know that also the Boch Mordechai, we don't know the difference. Ad lo yada is representing the situations in life. We don't know the difference between the situations in life, that sometimes we have a Boch Mordechai, wow, it's amazing. And even when we have Haman, it's very difficult. We don't know the difference, because it's all from you, Hashem, and we come to that acknowledgement and we appreciate that. We know that Akol man David Rahman Latav Avid, and everything is for the best. And why is Purim the time that represents that? Because on Purim we actually saw that. In retrospect, we were able to see it. If someone was living during those times, they would say, oh no, what a matzav do we have? They took Eshter, the tzaddikah Eshter, the tzaddikis, to be in royalty. That's horrible. What's going to happen? And then, oh no, look what they're doing. There's a decree for all the Jewish people to get killed. And also, oh no, what are they doing? Haman Arasha created this huge tree to put to be toilet, to hang Mordechai on it. What are we going to do? And what happened? All those were actually used fakir, the opposite. And that's why Purim v'na'afochu, and that's why we get dressed up. Everything was afuch than what it seemed. Why? Because it doesn't matter if it's afuch or yashal, if it's both Mordechai or Haman, everything is be'etzem from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we should appreciate everything, even though we don't have the tools to see all the time in this world. Why the Haman situations in this world are for the good, but in the next world we will. As we know, the Gemara tells us that in the world to come, even on situations that we would have said in this world, a bracha of Boch Dayan Emes, but in the world to come, we will always say, and even on the Haman situations, Hatoiv Ameti, V'iratzon, that we'll be able to elevate ourselves with the use of the Heilige wine, to elevate the wine and to elevate ourselves, to connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a way that we won't know the difference between the situations in life we have of Haman Boch Mordechai, because Kol Man David Rachman Aletav. Have a good Shabbos and a Freilich and Purim.
Thank you for joining us. This is the Prism of Torah. Visit our website, prismoftorah.com, where you'll find a full archive of hundreds of past Divrei Torah. Subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review, and don't forget to share with your friends and family. Sponsorship opportunities are available for all of our episodes. Thank you, Yona Vefa, for your recording equipment. Produced by Eli Podcast Productions.